What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 79 of my Total Warhammer 3 Ikit Claw Immortal Empires campaign. Sorry about the delay since the last episode. Unfortunately, with the new campaigns up and running, you do have to obey the algorithm a little bit and focus, but everything is getting settled now, so we should be returning to all the campaigns in a regular sort of schedule, including this one. Now, as we saw last time, Garth attacked Longyi, cementing himself as a true legend by winning the battle with basically nothing but basic plague monks and plague claw catapults, and he was facing against some damn tough opponents, so a great job to him. Hopefully we will be able to take out Lyonessa the next turn, or the turn after that actually, because we can't reach it, and thereby destroy the Broken Axe for good. And granted, this might mean that we get forced into fights with the High Elves, but we will set it up so that Garth essentially stays here and guards these territories, and hopefully we can take a few turns to retrofit his army to specifically combat the High Elves better. We'll need to be wary of things like Cav, so we'll definitely need to get at least something that will be able to counter that. We'll have to figure this out. Alrighty. Anyway, in the meantime, what we gotta do this time, we have two sieges underway. One of a minor settlement at Frozen Landing with Charge Lock, which frankly we've been waiting for a while. So we're going to start off with right after we level up Charge Lock and co. And then of course the other siege down here in Zlatlan, where we are sieging the Talaqua territory. And we've been doing that with Shaif for a while. But Charge Lock goes first. He's one of our oldest lords, and we have to ensure that he does enjoy himself here. Now, in terms of what we got to get for the setup, we have all the red line stuff we need. I guess we can head towards Arcane Conduit, unless we want to build him to be a little bit stronger himself. These are weapons teams. Alright, I forgot that we have the one warp grinder in here as well. You know what? We could get Death Frenzy for the warp fire throwers, do a little bit more melee damage, though they're still not going to be effective in melee, to be perfectly frank. The other option is we could start going through Wary to get an increased ambush success chance, which would also be a good use of our points. Like, we probably don't need the fear oppression stimuli, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, Skaven get decent use out of the aura for characters, but frankly, being on the Doom Wheel means he's fairly far away from the rest of his army fairly often. His armor is also pretty high, but this does offer 30 extra armor and 10% missile resistance. Not super useful against Chaos, perhaps, but we're not fighting Chaos, we're fighting Dwarfs right now, and you know what? I think that's pretty good. Oh, this also gives some magical attacks. Huh. Yeah, there's some decent stuff in here. Actually, Scarred Veteran looks kind of trash compared to Warpforged Armor and Augmented Weapon. Now, let's go for Warpforged Armor first, make him a little bit tankier, 156 armor. We'll go Augmented Weapon after, and then we'll probably head sort of directly towards Arcane Conduit after that. Now, you, Mickey, have everything you need, which means you can just go into training. Not that Charge Lock's army gets any benefit from it, and not that it's a particularly good skill in the first place, and then Minnie is in the same way. You can have training, you have mentor, and I guess you can get 1 point in spread control. It doesn't really matter. Alrighty, Skryre, Warlock Engineer. You're still a little bit low level. We do still want to continue spamming Warp Lightning, but we'll probably mostly do that with Charge Lock. I think we go for Sapper because, well, this army does still kind of need it. And then both increased mobility and Arms Dealer are helpful for us, but I think we'll go Arms Dealer first. Like so. Alrighty, and just because we can definitely run out of ammunition on at least a few units, and I'd rather not do so. Alrighty, that looks pretty good to me. Now we have to decide on whether we directly attack this guy, or we attack the settlement. The settlement means as soon as we win, but forcing these guys to come in as a reinforcement, depending on the map, could be quite good. But if it's a bad map, not so good. I think we'll risk it. Let's try to get him marching in as a reinforcement. Alrighty, and oh, for the oh, well, I didn't want that to happen. We ambushed them. Oh, that's a shame. That is a shame, and I'm not sure how much movement points remaining. I really strongly feel like they need to add to the AUI so that you can still see how much movement points your army has after you attack. Because if we decline, We may move so far away that we won't be able to attack afterwards. I guess we'll auto-resolve. This is probably going to hurt our army, but I really don't want to waste the time fighting this. Hopefully we can heal up to full. And that hurt the units that really didn't need to be hurt, because of course it did. Oh, game. Why do you do this to me? Alrighty. Well, we'll be going in with our Doom Wheels all at half HP, because the auto-resolve hates them, I guess. Let's see what we can do about this. We've got a pretty elite army. Definitely got to watch out for those Thunderers, especially with the Doom Wheels down to half, and those Iron Drakes with Troll Hammers. Alright. Looks like a pretty fun fight. Let's get to it. Alrighty, here we go. I can't deny that this is going to be at least somewhat dangerous for this army, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Also, I love watching the Doom Wheels go over hills and stuff. It's quite entertaining. Anyway, Charge Lock's going to start off by popping that brass orb off on as many hammerers as he can, and then immediately following it up with that Warp Lightning combo. There we go. Obviously overcast. I wonder how much damage that one combination did. Looks like it took about a third to a quarter HP from every single unit up there. Charge Lock did 15 kills, but it did about 10k damage with the single one use of each spell. Not too bad. We're also going to be using the cover of the trees here to hopefully not take as many hits, as we just can't afford them on our hurt Doom Wheels. The rest of our army is actually backing off a little bit closer to the edge of the screen than I normally like, but this is a very decent hill, and this is not a good map for us, as in there are too many forests. In the same way that they're blocking the enemy, they're also blocking us, and on top of that there's a pretty massive hill right in the center here, which wouldn't concern a Plague Claw pile, but we don't have that. We have the Warp Lightnings here, so we need to set them up on the next hill so they can at least fire on the enemy as they crest it. Now, in terms of what we're going to do, we're actually going to stay away from the main enemy army as best we can, and have Charge Lock and his skirmisher Doom Wheels move towards the reinforcing army. There are a couple units of Quarrelers in there, some Dwarf Warriors, some Miners, etc., and they're not nearly as threatening as the Thunderers or the Organ Gun in the main force. Obviously, we're a lot less concerned about getting killed here, at least with the Doom Wheels, so we're going to start harassing these guys. We'll see how the main enemy army reacts to this. It does seem like they sent a unit of, actually 2 units of Ironbreakers towards us, but Ironbreakers are slow, and Doom Wheels are, if not super fast, at least reasonably fast, at 100 speed. At least, Charge Lock is at 100 speed. I didn't realize he was considerably faster than the rest of his Doom Wheel friend. Looks like we're going to take some shots from the enemy blasting charges, however, and that's not such a bad thing, as it does clip the enemies here as well. A Scorch coming down for relatively cheap since we got that upgrade as well, and into the Clan Skryre Clanstone, and we're going to follow it up with another Warp Lightning. Alrighty, now, after that, let's see what you've got. 77 kills and 16k damage, starting to look even better. And the Clan Rats from the Menace Below summoned are annoying these enemy units. We can see they're losing HP, and obviously our Doom Wheels are rushing around, cycle charging, and also getting shots off with their Warp Lightning hits. And there we go. Almost acting like one machine here. Really, all you need to do is strap a few Doom Wheels together. Oh, wow. That Organ Gun sort of missed the Doom Wheel and just killed a bunch of dwarfs. Well, and maybe we can make good use of the Organ Gun if we're careful, and use it to help us kill this little army. It does look like we're at least going to be successful in seeing off these enemy reinforcements, as they're pretty much broken already. Most of the units have lost HP, and as soon as they've blobbed up, we popped yet another use of Brass Orb and another Warp Lightning. There we go. Absolutely horrifyingly effective. 3 Doom Wheels, they've taken out this army. In the meantime, however, the enemy army has gotten annoyed enough by the fact that their reinforcements have been basically destroyed, that they're going to move the rest of their army towards us, which means our Warp Fire Throwers, our limited number of Poison Winds, and our Warp Lightnings are going to have to defend themselves here. Obviously, the Warp Lightnings are getting ready to fire as soon as they can sight those enemies over that hill. Of course, a couple of them will be able to fire already as they have better angles, but the fire will be well and in earnest shortly. And looks like some Ironbreakers are chasing us. We're not going to bother with them though. We're going to by and large ignore them and go for that unit of organ guns and any thunderers and any other important units that we can find. Charge lock's already on 190 kills and 26k damage or 25k damage, very nice. And soon those organ guns and these thunderers will have been useless. Now it's time to see how effective our warp fire throwers and our artillery pieces are going to be here. I don't imagine we're going to get too much mileage out of our warp lightning cannons, but they'll do as best they can. Our poison wind mortars are going to be targeting the enemy iron breakers, mostly because we don't want them getting close enough to actually use their blasting charges. Otherwise, we're going to contract our lines just a little bit to allow the enemy a little bit longer to get to us. Mickey and Minnie out front as usual, but by and large, we need to just burn the enemy dwarfs down before they get to our battle lines. Warp Fire Throwers are extremely effective at this, and the slow-moving dwarfs can't capitalize on the fact that these guys have a relatively weak melee, so here we go. Enemy battle line just took a massive hit from our entire Warp Fire Thrower line. There's that Verminous Valor knocking some units around and screwing up their formation further as well. There we go. Toasting some dwarf. And that unit of Slayers is basically destroyed down to 13. Let's see the damage here. Miners failed to get to us, Longbeards failed to get to us, Hammerers, Ironbreakers, Hammerers, Miners, and I forgot if I counted those Slayers, but all those units are pretty much done. On the flank, however, we're having a little bit more trouble as 2 units of Slayers acting as pseudo-cav, because, well, they're the fastest units that the enemy has, decided to loop around and try to hit us in the sides. We did move our single unit of our warp grinders to countercharge them, well, not really countercharge them, but essentially to stop them via their warp quake, and, well, more importantly, their seismic snare. And that gave us a long enough of a time to summon some more clan rats to get in the way. And the Doom Wheels are also here. One of them is, I believe, still staying back and dealing with the enemy Thunderers to some degree, though we can, of course, switch our Poison Wind Mortars to the Thunderers as we continue working elsewhere. It does look like a couple of Hammerers did manage to make it through and hurt one of our Warp Fire Throwers, and a few of the others got damaged by the enemy Thunderers there. But otherwise, the battle is going well in our favor. We're at about 70, maybe 80% balance of power. We do have to be careful with our Warp Grinders, which are kind of trapped between enemy Slayers and 2 types of fire units as well. Ooh, the fire units going after our Doom Wheels here. Gotta be careful. Also, I believe these guys have a massive amount of fire resistance, so it's kind of pointless to be warp firing them, isn't it? That's actually only 40%. Not as much as I thought. A couple units of warp fire throwers could still cook them. And not that they'll need to. There's another Verminous Valor knocking some Slayers around and preventing them from getting into a decent formation, all the while they get knocked down by our continued warp fire throwing. It looks like Mickey and Minnie will see them off, and the rest of the army is done. The enemy lord getting killed by getting sniped by the warp lightning cannons, and now it's just a matter of giving chase. Alright, not too bad. One of our Doom Wheels came very close to dying, though. 1,000 HP. Though I'm not entirely sure what else would have killed it here. And we still, I guess, need to clear out the rest of the remaining Slayers, which is this little blob. I'm not sure what our Chieftain is doing. There you go, buddy. Oh, wow, he just exploded a lot of Slayers. Damn, okay, he probably got upset about getting axed in the back so many times. Alrighty, and a little bit of warp fire throwing can help out as well. Did he just say, now we see who survives? Let's take a wild guess. It's not you. Alrighty, good job to the Chieftains. It looks like we didn't need to hold the ground with the Chieftains nearly as much as I originally thought that we would. And they certainly helped out on the flank, and they did well. Especially considering we don't get a lot of good shots of the chieftains, or at least as often as most of the other units. Oh, I also like that they have slightly different helmet armor. Did a piece of yours break off, or was it always like that? Actually, yeah, Skaven do have this tendency to put these type of spiked helmets with a blade on them. But anyway, rest of the battle is over. We're going to give chase. There is still one unit of nearly full HP Iron Breakers back here, so we're going to try to chase it down with our Warp Fire Throwers. But really anything we can catch. And most things are extremely badly beat up at this point. We should be able to catch most things. There's a unit right on the edge of the map there. There's those poor Iron Breakers that didn't contribute to the fight. And got destroyed, and there we go. Apparently a close victory by virtue of, I'm not entirely sure, ammunition loss. We didn't really take all that much damage. Looks like a couple of our Warp Fire Throwers got hurt, and oh, our Warp Grinders. They were very badly beat up. Those crossing fire streams hurt them real bad while they were surrounded by the Slayers. I'm actually not sure that they survived. Let's find out. Well, Charge Lock does not disappoint, destroying the army to a dwarf. I'm really glad of that because our Warp Grinders took a lot of damage and nearly died, in fact, though I guess they don't necessarily have to be here, but yeah, considering how few we have, it's nice to keep at least a few of them operational somewhere. But they did hold off the tide against those Slayers and block them off, which allowed our Warp Fire Throwers to clean house, and really the only Warp Fire Throwers that took damage was this one, and I don't remember whether this was the one that got hit by the Hammerers or the one that got hit by the Thunderers. I think it might have been the Hammerer one. But either way, it wasn't a crazy amount of damage. So, free 20 food, we will occupy the place at tier 3, because this was our province originally, and I really don't want to have to come all the way back here again. Although, of course, Crackadrak won't be respawning. We're at 95% food, so still pretty darn good, and assuming we get more battles next turn, and we should be able to get that into close to 100? At least I'd like to hope so. Gormandny Mountains. You, well, let's immediately build stuff here to defend it. And I guess we're going to go with, first of all, well, I guess we do still want to get to tier 5 here eventually at Karak Vlag. On the other hand, the growth here is pretty good. Now, but we'll still need to upgrade the building, so I think expansionist planning. It's always expansionist planning. That's just the way we have to do it with the Skaven. Just out of curiosity, would either of these buildings help us at all in terms of defending? No, it doesn't look like it. Alrighty, well then screw it. We could actually build a military building here for another purpose. We are building the Weapons Bureau in Karak Vlag. Karak Doom currently also has the Weapons Bureau, but Vlag has the tier 4 one, so we'll be deleting this one. Though, ironically, the Engineering Cavern is in Karak Doom. We can keep the clan armory at Tribe Slaughter, even though it does make less money, and I still want to get Stormwrack Mount from these guys, if possible, but getting a little bit ahead of myself. Also, I wonder what's the likelihood of these guys attacking Tribe Slaughter. They'll still die to an auto-resolve, and just out of curiosity. Well, either way, we are going to build... Let's go with another clan armory here, I guess. It would be nice to be able to access Storm Vermin in this particular territory as well, even though the other one is nearby. Now, in terms of what Crackadrak has remaining, it has one regular army, as in not a free army, and then one free army. Alright, certainly something we can deal with, especially if we get a little bit of help from our Wintertooth friends and possibly even Archaon. Not Archaon himself, but his faction. Alright, now, let's see what else we gotta do this turn. Maybe go for that siege. Charge Lock is good. Morphific Shife is sieging. Cypress, Scorpable, Metable. Everybody is getting into position, or everybody is already in position, rather. Upside, Mutant number 2. Everybody's okay. Buck the Lethal. You are still waiting for orcs you can't reach anymore. I think we moved everybody, basically. Alright, I guess we could do a little bit of building, and then we'll head into the next battle. Mechanigear, you're good in where you are in Engine Bolt, I hate you. Wait, or do I hate Mechanigear? I think it's Engine Bolt. Or is it Mechanigear? They both kind of have similar names, damn it. You have Cunning, and Mechanigear has... Oh, they both have Cunning. Okay, well then I should just give up. Also, Boilrin, do you want to do any global recruitment here? You could certainly speed up a few things. The question is whether we actually need to. Oh, you know, next turn we'll also probably have to get a new Lord up and running, because you'll have to transfer some of your forces over, because you're trying to make both Deathmaster Snitches and Lord Skrolk's armies at the same time. You won't have space for 40 units, obviously. Too bad there isn't like a army recruiter reserve sort of thing. Because you should be able to keep an infinite amount of units in reserve that aren't active. Well, maybe not an infinite amount, but in castles or in the main provinces, or actually even regular ones as well, as in not main ones. But then again, feature creep, not such a great thing. Let's continue, let's build up some stuff. Nordland, Salzenmund. We are still probably going to try to trade it to these guys.
To be honest, I'd rather
Are you willing to do it right now? Salzenmund, do we need to... we'll need to upgrade it again. They really don't want to go giving us that longship graveyard, which is kind of surprising considering Salzenmund is a capital here. But I guess they don't like it as much as they like this place. Although this place is a tier 3. If we upgrade you to tier 3, maybe. Alright, let's keep growing, and for now I guess we'll get the wood. It's not like this place is going to get attacked. We could also just give up and just straight up attack these guys. Though they are giving us 1400 money per turn, which ain't too bad. Really the question then, I guess, is will Salzenmund by itself generate 1400 money or not? And the answer is I don't know. We'll leave it alone for now, just keep upgrading. Well, what's up next while we have the money? Barrow of Quila, you can have an Overseer's Lookout. Yes. I do now just wonder, were we saving? Let's see. Dreadfleet, Non-Aggression Pact, nearly ready if we want it. Are they at war with anybody we like? Not really. There may be a few units that we may want to access from them. We could do a non-aggression pack. How much money you want for this? 5k. Well, we're not giving you 5k for it, but eventually, maybe. They're not actually even at war with anybody. And they're trading with us. And we'd like to keep trading with them because it's, well, free money. Trade agreements. I would trade with the Slaughterhorn tribe. It's just kind of pointless right now. You are currently fighting the Heralds of the Tempest, who we're not quite allied with, but nominally allied with. I'd still love to get more trade going with Cathay. They just give so damn much money in trade. I mean, this gives us 3k per turn. How much do you want for this? 40. Okay, now. I was wondering if we could get that trade going for long enough to actually get a benefit from it. As in, to pay for it to pay for itself. It doesn't look like it. Okay, well then screw that. Let's go back to buildings. If we have any. Hawkland, yes, at a gig. I guess we'll start building up those walls, because, well, we're building walls everywhere. Might as well defend ourselves. Growth and Wood, Forest of Arden, you're up next. Castle Artois and the UG Sorrow, get those walls and get those furs. You'd think the Skaven would every single Skaven settlement should produce like 1 to 2 furs, just automatically. You know they're skinning their own Skaven slaves and stuff, although their furs are probably pretty darn poor quality. But that's only why we should get 1 to 2. Alright, I'm sure they'd skin the clan rats as well. Let's see. What do we want here? Our public order is okay, despite the doubled up corruption. Oh, this is actually... Oh, Middenheim has got an extra growth. We're just getting lots of extra corruption. The place isn't too bad, though. You know what? Maybe we'll still get Middenheim eventually, so let's just assume that we will and get you rubbish bit. How are we getting the control here? Why is this even positive? Characters 6. I'm just wondering whether we should build an Overseer's platform here. Let's build it just in case. Keep it positive. Alrighty, Silver Road, back to you. Yes, you will be generating very much cash eventually, so let's keep building up all those cash buildings. Carcassonne, you're up next. Let's get those walls up and running in Brienne. It is a coastal territory and thus likely to get attacked. Southern World's Edge Mountains, iron, then defenses, then more growth, because it's going to take a while to build up Karak Azul. Southern Badlands, salt. You're making me salty. And everything else can continue as it is. Fyldorf. Do we spend the 10k to upgrade you? You know what, maybe it's time. Or else it's just going to keep popping up. And I guess Castle Baston is also in the same sort of situation. You know what, let's skip Baston for now. And just in case, there are other things. We could get the wall at Erengrad. We really don't want to lose Erengrad. You know what, regardless of the expense, we're going to get it. Northern Grey Mountains and Blackstone Post, you're also ready for an upgrade. Yeah, we just need 20k to upgrade all those. And Al-Haikis as well. And, okay, Western Badlands isn't, though. It could get the Plague Abbey at Ekrund. Is it worth our time to do this right now? Or is it better to just build up a main upgrade? What does this actually give us? A little bit of extra control. We already have the Plague Priests. It's hero recruit rank for Plague Priests in this particular province that this gives us, which we really don't care about all that much. And we already have a Plague Abbey maxed out here in Skaven Blight. So I think we're better off just upgrading a few of these places, and I think the one that we're going to pick is Al-Haik, mostly because it has a tier 4 port, tier 5 port. There we go. Well, that's all the cash we got. Now, Shife. You know what you can do for us? You can get us some more cash. Plague Priests, let's upgrade you and let's head into the battle. You are missing what? I mean, I guess you're still going through the magical tree. You don't have Wither maxed out. You do have Sneaky, because, well, you should, because it's dangerous. Leadership, charge bonus is all garbage, because you're on your Plague Furnace. And you don't have Scouting, do you? You don't have Scouting. Oh. Okay. Well then. You know what, I'm gonna get Scouting maxed out on both of them, not so much because we need it to be because it doesn't stack, but rather because I don't want to keep going through both of them every time and trying to remember which one has more Scouting and which one doesn't. It's just a little annoying. You have Scavenge maxed out though, so you are good. Woundmaker will make you a little bit tougher in melee, but how much do we care about that? We do have a couple of Wolf Rats in this army, so we could get Master Molder for him. And Carrot and Stick. I mean, we might as well. It's 2 points, and we are getting at least some use out of them. Oh, you know what, actually? 1 point in Thick-Skinned, because you have very low armor. But we'll still get Master Molder, and we'll just get Carrot and Stick afterwards. Alright, lovely. Next up, I guess it's time for you to attack. What do we have in terms of the enemy setup here? Is this worthy of a cinematic? I mean, they do got a very decent amount of Croxies and stuff. Yeah, this looks like it's a fight. Let's fight it. A valiant defeat, you say? I guess we'll see. Alrighty, we are finally at the siege. I think we've been waiting for this one for a couple of episodes as we've been trying to clear everything else out. But well, we're here now and we're ready to get to work. Obviously, our Plague Claws are going to begin by bombarding the enemy settlements, specifically the towers, so that they can't fire on us when we advance. 2 volleys from 4 units of Plague Claws takes a tower down, so they do go down pretty quick. And that's just the way we like it. Oh, I'm an idiot. Alrighty, otherwise we are going to wait for quite some time here. All 3 towers that are nearby need to go down, although, oh, look at that. The enemy's got some feral cold ones that it's going to summon on top of our catapults. Unfortunately for them, these guys have a relatively weak melee attack and defense, and we should be able to move in to counter them reasonably quick ourselves. Though, let's see, am I going to do any damage? Well, they've taken about 15% HP off one of these Plague Claws, but it's going to take them a while to work through a unit of their crew. And on the edges here, we have our faster units arriving. The Packmaster sent in, of course, to get the Illustrian sort of units under control. There we go. Control your monsters, Packmaster. Maybe tame a few of them. You don't have to just use rats. You do have a things catcher for a reason, and hey, I'm sure the master molders would like a few cold ones to experiment on. There's actually a bunch of useful stuff on them. The very hard hide, and then their poison spit and all that. Plus whatever resistances they have. Yeah, could be a useful subject for some master molders. And anyway, let's see about the bombardment, shall we? It's going to take a while to work through the wall, and as long as the enemy units are willing to sit up there, we're going to continue our bombardment. We have switched two of our units to go for tower, though, while the rest continue. And we are also going to move our Jezzails up on top of this hill. We've encountered this before, where the Jezzails, if they are placed in a reasonably high territory, can, in fact, fire up on walls, so that is still potentially very useful, and there we go. And they're taking aim and they're firing. I'm liking Jezzails more and more, as long as there's a slightly elevated position, and they can clear walls with the best of them. And any units that are up there, like usually it's tough to deal with any heroes that are up on the walls, but I'm just watching the animations of the individual Jezzails here. And the Jezzail should be able to snipe any heroes. Alright, if you guys could fire again. I just saw one of the, the rats that is holding the shield just sort of tap the other rat and point forward and stuff. Alright, I guess they're not firing right now. Oh, of course, the other unit started to fire. There we go, alright. Where are those animations? Okay, now that one just kicked the other rat forward. It was kind of mean. Come on, he's holding your shield, buddy. I guess you have the gun. Alright, well, anyway, that's gonna take a while. Let's see how they're doing up here. Looks like the unit of Lothern Seaguard that was here due to the outpost is pretty much done, and the unit of Red Crests are also pretty much broken. We're also going to start targeting the enemy in the interior of the settlement, but also the wall as well, as we will be moving in. Now that said, we can speed up the rest of this a little bit as the bombardment does take time, and I'd rather watch the fight as we get a little bit closer. It would be nice to clear out all the Lothern Seaguard though, because they can arc over the walls themselves, and I'd rather not have to deal with them. Alright, how's that wall looking? 5.6k left, and oh, you guys have just moved up on the wall. That's a bad idea when the Jezzails are up here. And the catapults to us to some degree as well. And there we go, and that wall's about to pop. The enemy's summoned another units of cold ones. The lizard's gonna drop off, and all to their deaths, of course. Enemy's really not getting a lot of value out of these summoned cold ones. I think they might be too weak. Actually, oh wow, they have 90 armor? I didn't even realize that. I mean, yeah, hard skin, but damn. Huh, surprising that they go down so quick. I guess they have incredibly low leadership and completely unsupported and all that. Anyway, our Plague Priests are moving in. We will, however, break through the gate, so a few more seconds of bombardment while we do so. Looks like another unit of Red Crests up here getting sniped, and all the Merlins have been destroyed, or all but one of the Merlins have been destroyed, so they no longer block the shots from our Jezzails, which is quite nice. I wonder if there's a way to specifically have the artillery pieces target the Merlins. I want to try attack ground on them. I think I'm gonna take a look at that at some point. I never considered the strategy, but it's certainly something that we may want to consider in the future with the with that ability of the Jezzails. Alrighty, it looks like we are getting some arcing shots from those Lothern Seaguard. The gate, however, is nearly done, which means we're about to enter the city. There we go. We are in. Too bad we don't have any poison wind mortars here, as I'm sure that they would come in handy, but what we do have is, I think, 115 or 120 mana, and that is a lot of rats that we can summon. So we're going to start working on the enemy by summoning Vermintides over and over and over again. We have 3 units that are capable of it, after all. I do wish that the regular Poison Wind Globadiers could arc over walls. Alas, they can't, but I guess that would make them too powerful. They're already pretty damn strong, so yeah, that's what the mortars are for. That in range, I guess. Alright, our lords and heroes are going to keep back, but I guess we can watch some Lizard on Clan Rat action. And granted, the clan rats aren't going to do too much damage to the Saurus, but as we can see, Saurus are dying occasionally here. So, if it's a matter of attrition, I think the Skaven, generally speaking, have a decent amount of advantages. We're also going to pop that Skryre Clanstone rather, and here comes a spell we don't see all that often, which is Plague. There we go, a nice non-moving vortex right in the middle of this formation of enemies, and I'll be curious to see how much the user of the spell will have done in terms of damage afterwards. There we go, all those units exploding under it, and I'm sure the Skryre Clanstone helping out as well. It looks like a unit of Saurus Spears basically destroyed, and then 2 more very heavily damaged, and 1 a little lower than half. Looks like it was worth of the cast. 199 kills from 1 spell and 16k damage. Less damage than I would have expected perhaps, but still pretty darn good. I wish we could compare it with something like Pit of Shades. I still like Pit of Shades more, but mostly because it looks cooler. Also, I think Pit of Shades probably does more armor-piercing damage, unless I'm mistaken. I know it does armor-piercing when overcast, but I don't remember how much armor-piercing the Plague does. It's also armor-piercing. Large expanding area of effect, yada yada yada. I gotta compare the damage at some point. Alrighty, well, it's now time to move in the Screaming Bell and the Plague Furnaces. They're going to start applying their Mortis Engine effects, and we've also used the Dreaded 13th to summon our units of Storm Vermin with halberds, of course, because the enemy has brought a bunch of Kroxigors out to play. And we've also summoned used 2 uses of Plague Monk summons, Pestilent Birth, to help out the summoned units of Clan Rats and Storm Vermin, and that is a lot of summons and a lot of damage. We have not taken any hurt on our Packmaster or any of our Lords and Heroes, and we have not yet committed any of our army. All the while, the enemy is quite in bad shape already. The balance of power is about 65% maybe in our favor. We do have to watch out for the enemy sniping our units, but this is one of the reasons I wanted to target their Lothern Sea Guard so that they could not fire. Granted, a few of them are still alive, but there are very few, and we're about to have our catapults, as we can see the arrows, target them as well. For as long as we have Vermintide available to us, we should be able to keep summoning and keep doing damage without taking hurt, so it's really only the ranged units that are threatening here. I do like the orange sashes they have when they're part of Talaqua's team. I guess one of the other great things about Outposts and the Outpost system in general, or the Allegiance system in general, I guess it's more the Outpost system, is being able to see more units with different color schemes, just to compare. Alrighty, there we go. Looks like our Plague Claws are finally striking those Lothern Sea Guard. This unit is in a very bad shape and is in fact running away. The second one's about to take some hits. And that looked pretty painful. Well, let's see how we're doing over here. Still only about 10 to 15% of damage on our Lords and Heroes, but we have lost our summons. They have degraded over time. Not a big deal, however, as we've got more summons where that came from, and we can continue doing damage via various other means. Enemies are contaminated and poisoned, though their leadership remains quite high, and ooh, hello, if it isn't a unit of Salamanders, we will have to watch out for that. That said, as soon as the Salamanders are no longer a threat, we will be moving the rest of our army in. Our Plague Monks are getting ready to stream into the city. We are also trying to snipe the enemy Pterodon Riders with our Jezzails as best they can, and as best they can is generally pretty good. But this unit of Pterodon Riders is out, these ones are about to get sniped out of the air, and now our Plague Claws are all targeting that Salamander hunting pack, which, surprisingly, despite their extremely loose formation, does take quite a lot of damage from them. Well, good job, Plague Claws. I wasn't expecting you to be able to see that unit off, but I'm happy that you did. Unfortunately, it does look like the enemy Pterodon Riders are starting to damage our Plague Priests and our Grey Seer, so we do have to snipe them faster, Jezzails. Come on now. Get those range units out of there. But at the end of the day, this is going pretty well, and it's time now to actually commit our army. Our Censer Bearers and our regular Plague Monks are going to join the fray. At the same time, we will continue summoning even more Plague Rats, or, well, I was about to say Clan Rats, but they might as well be Plague Rats. I feel like they should do like a slight modification for Clan Pestilence where they can, where their Clan Rats are Plague Rats instead. And just like a slightly different version of Clan Rats, essentially. Kind of like an inferior version of a Plague Monk. Kind of like how the Clan Rats are an inferior version of the Storm Vermin. Something along those lines. But obviously still better than Skaven Slaves, just more of a frenzied damage dealer. Anyway, another dreaded 13th comes in with a massive explosion, and our second unit of halberd-wielding Storm Vermin to trap in the enemy Cold One Spear Riders, or are those horned ones? I don't remember. Those are horned ones, actually. Wow, pretty darn good cavalry unit, but there are just too many summons for them to deal with, and now they're getting hit by the Plague Monks and the Censer Bearers as well. I can't wait for Lord Skrulk's army, as he'll be using a lot of Censer Bearers, as we don't have a lot of armies with them for now. And there we go. The enemy is abandoning the gate, and we are streaming into the city, but rather than commit to the rest of their units, which is, let's see, looks like 4 full HP units, but oh, 2 of them are heroes. So wait, I think they basically had 2 units left in the entire settlement. Okay, it's not surprising that they're running away. That they shattered. Well done to everybody. We're just gonna quickly pop that Scalm on Scheif to get his health back up and running. And we're good. Lovely. That, I think, was pretty darn effective, and another win for the Plague armies. Garth last time, and now Scheif as well, doing quite well and showing off once again the power of overrunning the enemy with endless summons. Alrighty, very nice, Scheif. I am proud of your ability to siege the enemy, and that did go fairly well with us only losing 45 units and damage primarily on the Plague Priest there. We also got a nice use out of Plague, which makes sense in the Plague army. It's just that it's a spell that we don't get to use all that often. The Poison Wind Globadiers didn't contribute all that much to this fight, unfortunately, but it was still a really fun fight, especially just overwhelming the enemy army with the power of so damn many summons. It's such a great thing to have the ability to fight with so many summons, because you have so much mana. We will obviously... I don't remember whether we can take it this turn, but it is 8.6k, which is quite a bit, so we probably should sack it. And let's see, can you move and take it this turn? You cannot, unfortunately. Yeah, but you got that plus 12 to sacking and the Portents of Verminous Doom, which means we get another leadership debuff, and if we don't have one in this army, considering that these guys are often in melee, it's probably a good thing to have. You are using your Scalm, and you should probably continue using it, but one of you can carry the Portents. I'll deal with some of the items at some point. Portents of Verminous Doom, where are ya? Was it not a... pipes? Oh, it's not an order. Oh, for the love of... Here it is. Oh, it's enchanted item, Portents of Verminous Doom. Yeah, it's not an alphabetical order, because Pipes of Piebald are here, and then it's a bunch... Well, whatever. Oh, it's not alphabetical. It is alphabetical, but it is only for the individual item types, I guess. Okay, fine. Fine, makes sense. I guess these items should be together, rather than having them all separate. No, that's not true either. Channeling Staff Arcane item is not together with the Scrying Stone. Well, now I just have no idea how those are put together. Really too bad you can't take those. But it's okay. Next turn. I guess we will just go into Channeling Stance to get more mana, or We could go into ambush, although not entirely sure whether that actually helps us right now or not. And this gives us a little bit of extra mana, and you know what, considering how useful mana is for this army, we may as well just channel more winds. And yeah, next turn with a little bit more food, we can take this at tier 3 or so. Although I am a little bit worried about somebody attacking us here. We do have Scalpite and his garbage little temporary army to see off any basic armies. Anyway, unfortunately with that, we are once more out of time, and I'm gonna have to call the episode here. Next time, we advance northward with Corporal and stuff, well, we'll end the turn, and we'll see what happens. Maybe a bunch of dwarfs will attack us. Metable is trying to use Cyprus as bait right now, and Morgus is here with a full stack, so I fully expect that something will happen here as soon as we end the turn, and then we'll see what else happens with the rest of these armies. Still lots and lots of battles to go in this main area, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.